Live from
the studio. I'm Jimmy Selesky.
Glazer. I'm Eric Glazer.
I'm Eric Glazer.
I didn't know who was going to go first.
And we are live.
And we're live. It is Tuesday around 8 p.m.
8-ish.
Who cares if we're not on time? You know, we're fashionably late. This is our show.
Late.
We do whatever the hell we want.
This week you thought I was drinking an Amps. I'm actually drinking a Bud Light Lime. Still the beer for whatever happens, but it's nice out.
What do you think I'm drinking?
If I had to guess, I'd say that is a Moscow Mule.
Not close at all.
Okay, then let me get a second guess.
All right, check out the straw. See the straw.
Straw is yellow, and it's like a little stirring straw. It's a cocktail straw.
Close.
It is a spaghetti noodle?
No. Very hard spaghetti noodle.
If you guys are just listening to the audio version of this, trust me, that looks like a spaghetti noodle.
It does. It's a Kentucky Capri Sun.
Oh shit! What goes in that? Whiskey and Capri Sun?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just made it up.
Kentucky Capri, baby. I like that shit.
And yeah, it is the Capri Sun straw is like the perfect size for like a stirring straw. And it works as a straw, you know?
There you go, baby. That's good shit.
Also, it's not a dry pasta noodle.
Okay.
That you can't sip through.
Important that we also get that out in the oven. Eric is not drinking through a spaghetti noodle. Although I have been to several bars in my previous history in which they use spaghetti noodles as straws, which I think is a better alternative than the paper straw.
Yeah, because it's not going to break down as easily, but wouldn't it get the drink like starchy?
I guess.
Would you like start tasting it?
I don't know. I kind of remember there being a spaghetti-esque flavor to my drink when I was doing it.
But I did get a SpaghettiOs cocktail.
Yeah. But also there's a paper-esque taste to my paper straw, so I'm like, what do I want? Do I want a dry spaghetti noodle taste or a paper taste? Or just a fucking plastic taste, which is my favorite.
SpaghettiO and Bo, dude.
Yes.
One of those fancy beer cocktails.
So you said you've been self-quarantining again? I thought you already were self-quarantining, dude.
Well, I mean, so like, what I mean is, since I have been out to multiple protests now.
Yes. You are officially a protester.
I'm trying to get the t-shirt. If you go to all 10 of them.
I went to 10 protests and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
And all I got was no police reform and
probably
t-shirt.
Coronavirus.
No, but yeah, I went to another protest last Friday. It was down at City Hall. It was less of a march. It was more of just kind of like a congregation and just passing the mic and letting people, you know, say what they want to say. And it was even more low key than the other one that I went to. There's still a lot of people there, but like, yeah, it was the weirdest part of it was one of the person's speeches ended with like one of the it's kind of like Hack, where it's like, look to the person left of you, look to the person right of you, tell them that you love them. And then everyone in the crowd just started hugging each other and like, and I was like, no,
that's not what he said. Look at the person left of you. Cough on that motherfucker.
Yeah, that one I definitely stayed away from people.
Did you hug anybody? Did you hug Liz?
We hugged, but we didn't like hug any. We were far away from strangers and like, because the first one we went to was so like, at least for me it was like jarring because it was like fucking, we were walking down Baltimore Street just like butt to butt.
Yeah,
and it's like we're all just transmitting this disease if it's around here right now. We're playing a big ass game of telephone with coronavirus through like 8 blocks of Baltimore Street.
Well, I think I was talking about this. I did the Trap podcast with Matt and Sig, as in I produced it, and obviously said a lot more stuff on the podcast than
a regular producer.
I always like whenever I'm producing somebody else's podcast, I always think like, all right, what would young Jamie on the Rogan Experience do? So then I pull up the completely wrong video, but also
and then talking to the mic from 20 feet away.
Yeah. But no, it was a good podcast today. But we were talking afterwards, and I was saying that I think I've noticed that this reopening phase has been happening like a lot faster than I thought it would, like I had imagined it would. Like I thought like it was going to be like when we moved into phase 1 that it was going to be like another month before we went into phase 2, and then it was going to be like another 3 months before we went into phase 3 or whatever. But like phase 1 was enacted like at the beginning of June, and now we're going into phase 2.
Yeah, it happened like it was like Monday, right? Monday was the start of phase 1
for I think
for the
Baltimore's,
city, I guess.
For the
I
city,
think for the
yes.
city, yeah.
Yes, yeah. But for the county, I think we've been in phase 2 since Friday, which I didn't know that was specifically just the county. So last week on the podcast, we were discussing how I really wanted to play at the Fed Hill Merit because that was my dream gig, essentially for obvious reasons. And a listener of the podcast sent me a screenshot of the Maryland phase 2 laws, and they were like, you might get that dream gig after all, because phase 2 in Maryland started last Friday at 5 p.m. and my gig was at 6 p.m. So my my immediate
close. You're cutting it close.
Cutting it very close. Like, dude, as soon you guys can open it exactly 5, I will be down there and set up by 6, no fucking problem. But then I realized, oh wait, okay, the city's still behind on that. So I almost thought for a second, I was like, this is a God-given miracle. But lo and behold, that has passed, and didn't get to play that. I still have yet to play an actual gig, but things are starting to pop up on the horizon. Like our friends at Atlas Restaurant Groups.
Your friends.
Yeah, my friends at Atlas Restaurant Groups are doing a I thought this was kind of cool. I thought it was kind of cool, but also I was like, damn, this is going to require me to wake up early. But basically, they are doing a mandatory coronavirus training session for all their staff, including their musicians.
Wow.
And so we have to all log. They have like 2 meetings, and we have to all log in at a specific time on the Zoom meeting and be present.
It'd be funny if like they just all packed you into like a small little room for the coronavirus safety training. And they still have like the signs up at their door that's like no masks, no hats, no jerseys. So then everyone has to take their mask off.
Yeah. And the first one was scheduled for yesterday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And
was your eye itching? What was that?
Yeah, I think it's allergies or something. I think I'm allergic to fucking lying. But but it was scheduled for that time, and I fully intended on attending it, but then I realized, oh my God, I haven't been expected to be ready by 10 a.m. in so long. So I woke up at 10:30 and was like, well, there goes that. That's out the fucking window. But they have a second one coming up this week, which I guess I need to attend.
You must.
I must. But It's cool that they're doing that. I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to be. Like, am I going to have to fucking like wear a mask when I'm singing? Because that'll be weird.
That'll be hard.
That'll be very hard. That'd be very difficult.
Speaking from doing something in a mask entertainingly, it's hard.
Yeah. And my immediate thought was like, dude, if I got to go and sing with a mask, I might rather just not, because I feel like that'd be weird. But now I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll do it.
Your face is going to get so sweaty. That's what happened to me, at least.
But it's it's cool that they're taking those precautions. Obviously, as a whole, things are starting to play out as I had imagined. It's, every single place that's reopened essentially has either cut back shifts or cut back rates for how much they're paying. Yeah. So that's like something that I was kind of anticipating, and now I'm like, okay, so when I do go back in, it's not going to be the same amount of money, and it's not going to be as often, and so now it's kind of put me in a different mode where I'm like, all right, so maybe this whole thing working at Seasons might have been a good play,
True.
Yeah. But overall, I'm kind of excited to go back, mostly because in the county, The other thing I have noticed, aside from the reopening process, is that I thought things would be way less normal than they were when they opened up. Like when I went down to Fells the first weekend that they allowed for like to-go drinks outside on the streets, even then it was kind of like, okay, like, you know, I still kind of feel like I'm chilling a little bit. It doesn't feel like that. I actually enjoyed being outside. In fact, I've seen on Facebook that so you know it's real and true 100%, but that they're considering making, because right now it's kind of like a fake law, I guess, that like you can just get to-go drinks in Fells and just walk around in the streets, and like technically you're not supposed to be drinking out in the streets, but also technically that's the only place you can drink. So it's like, all right, what are we doing here? You know, kind of like the same thing where it's like a stay-at-home order, but also restaurants are opening up. So it's like, there's a bunch of like weird...
Well, it's interesting. Like most cities are like turning into New Orleans right now.
Which I think is dope, dude. I think, first of all, I think that Fells Point should always have had the you're allowed to drink in the street laws. I personally think that's the perfect place to do it. Like you section off those blocks of bars and you allow each bar to have their own policies. Like you can't come in here with a drink from somewhere else. You can't do this. You can't do that. But like, it always made sense to me that like, yeah, if it's summertime, like, yeah, you should be walking around the streets, dude. That's what Fells Point's all about, bro. You know? But also I've always thought that like, just in general, we should be allowed to drink outside, which is why I continue to do it in my own daily life. But, yeah, other than that, I went to, this past weekend, I went to the Towson bars, and same deal, all outside. Just I went to the Point, was my first Towson outing, and they rebuilt the whole back patio. It looks beautiful.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's like the only place you can drink, though.
Yeah, but they made like a full bar and everything. Like there's a totally active bar. They built like a whole roof and everything. It's sick. They have the music outside now.
Hell yeah.
And like I was kind of thinking like, dude, when I come back and play here, I kind of just want to play outside. Like this is way cool.
That'd be sick, because then you could jam right into the back of Towson Best.
Yes, and speaking of Towson Best,
back, dude.
Towson Best is open again. I got sushi for them today. Very excited today. About that.
I was up there
really?
Today. I got Burger Brothers, but I didn't know Towson Best was open. I just really wanted like wings and chicken tenders, so I was like, I'll go Burger Brothers.
Burger Brothers, not Burger Bros. You're going for the full. You're going for the full Burger Brothers.
Yeah, I like to keep it formal.
But yeah, my brother spent like $48 on sushi today from San Sushi too. And I was like, why didn't you call up Towson Best? He's like, they're closed, bro. And I was like, the fuck they are, dude. There's no way they're still closed. And I called him up and I was like, it rang twice and I was like, no, don't do it. Don't go to the voicemail. And then he picked up, Towson Best, how can I help you? And I was like, yes. Let me get a lunch special, please. He was like, all right, man, calm down. It's like, dude, you don't know how much I've been waiting for this.
Damn. Fuck, if only I knew.
Yeah.
I totally would have gotten Towson Best today.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was altogether like a good weekend to kind of like everything's still kind of in limbo a little bit. Like the Point closed at 11. Like every bar is like closing at weird times, and I'm just kind of sitting there like why? I don't like, if you're going to be open with these rules, I don't understand why you got to close early, but like some bars are open later. So we were walking back, we walked past the Kent, and they were closed, and we were like, fuck. So we were like, all right, we're taking it home, boys. I was with Alex, and
wait, what about, aren't they in the backyard though, or like in the parking lot?
Yeah,
or did you check
the backyard, dude. The backyard. But no, they do it in the back. Can't even say the backyard now. They do it in the parking lot, which happens to be in the back. Yeah. And then, but they still close at like midnight. So then we had to go. We were just planning on walking home, me, Zach, and Alex, and then we stumbled into Rec Room, and they were still open on the patio. And so we chilled there, did some Rec Roomy things.
I feel like they're the most prepared for this whole situation. Like
they
their
got
back
it together.
patio is so big.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, I mean, what better week to introduce people back into this shit than this past week, which has been awesome weather. Like literally, it's been like I wouldn't have been inside anyway, so I didn't even notice anything. Like I feel like we're always chilling outside. Who wants to be inside on a nice day? I've never understood those people. Inside people, bro.
Terrible.
It's nice. It's nice.
Even I
Go
went outside.
Exactly.
And I consider myself an inside person.
I consider you an inside person too, but not when we're fucking out at the bars, dude.
Very true.
It's called going out to the bars, not called going into the bars. That's all I'll say about that. That's all that needs to be said about that.
Damn, dude. We just needed this virus to prove you right.
Yes.
That's all.
I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, finally.
And so we did that on Friday night. Nice evening. And then Saturday was like a very, one of my favorite days ever, honestly. I went to the studio in the morning-esque time period, which like essentially is 2 p.m. for me. So I went to the studio at 2 p.m.
Same here.
Yeah, same here. Everybody gets it.
Still getting the sleepies out of my eye.
Yeah. So I went there. I met up with John and Joe from the band, and we sat in the studio for like 6 hours. I think all together in the course of 6 hours, we laid down 4 measures worth of shaker tracks. Not the most productive day, I would say. However, a lot of experimentation was done, which is what I was explaining to Joe. It's like you get to these points in song production where at first it's like you write the drum part, then you have the bass line, then you have the rhythm guitar concept, and you get a vocal melody. And then as it narrows down to finalizing the song, it's very minuscule, intricate little things that you're doing that like you could spend, like we did, 6 hours trying to find the exact perfect guitar effect for a section or something like that. But that's what it is. So you leave the studio having not recorded anything, and Joe was like, dude, what do we do today? And I was like, we did a lot, bro. Trust me. We did a lot. And it also so happened that our studio neighbors, only one of them lives there now, because there used to be like the trio, Paige, Noah, and Sam, who would always pop through the podcast and like chill with us. And then Paige moved up to New York, and Sam moved downtown. And but Noah still lives there on the upstairs floor above the new carpet cleaner guys that live downstairs. I gotta say, seem like nice dudes. I've never chilled with them though, dude. Never chill with them though. But it was Noah's birthday, so all of them are back in town.
Carpet cleaner guys, that could be huge for the studio.
That could be huge for the studio, my house, anywhere I've ever resided. Anywhere I've ever set foot in could use a carpet cleaner.
Yeah.
But I've yet to like strike up a relationship with them. But yeah, it was Noah's birthday, so Paige was back in town, Sam was back in town, Marcella's cousin who we met was there. Everybody was chilling. I walked over to the cookout after the studio session at like 6:30, and we were just all chilling there playing fucking spike ball, which is the ultimate mid-20s white person sport.
What is it?
Exactly, bro. You know what it is? I meant to say mid-20s young professional yuppie sport. And you and I are unfamiliar with that because we stay on our own lane. Yeah. But it's like you have this like bouncy
we both
net.
Don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, we don't make enough money to know what
to
spike
buy
ball
a
is.
Spike ball.
Yeah,
thousands of dollars.
I was talking to this girl once, the girl who used to work with your brother, and I called her, and then she like texted me back 15 minutes later. It was like, "What's up? Sorry, I missed it. I was playing spike ball," and I was like, "Yeah, right." The fuck is spike ball? And that's probably when she realized this guy doesn't make enough money to hang out with me anymore. You don't even know what spike ball is. Do you have any friends that have salaries? No.
None of your friends have weekends off to play childhood games again because we have too much money? No?
Too much money. No, I'm sitting there playing fucking nothing, bro.
Wait, you don't play in the adult athletic leagues?
Yeah, you don't.
Fells Point?
Yeah, you don't play in Volo City, bro? Where's your Volo City when you go out? Instead of your white t-shirt, where's your Volo City shirt? Sorry, I don't make enough money. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I have to work those nights. Sorry.
Yeah, their whole motto at Volo City is, I think it's, we play so they can play too. Because I guess like they play and then they like fund the league so that other people can play. But I feel like I'm the other people. I'm like, we play so Jimmy can also maybe eventually figure out what spike ball is. But anyway, so they're playing that. It looks like a really fun game. Look it up, guys. It's cool. There's like a little net. It's a big beach game. And they also had Can Jam, which is like where there's like 2 trash can looking esque things, and you throw the frisbee and you have to like jam it in the can or whatever. Lots of newfangled cookout sports. All I'm up to speed with is like cornhole and like horseshoes. I feel like horseshoes is much more boomer. I've never been to a person
Yeah, that's
our age
old
cookout.
school.
Yeah.
Dude, they have like horseshoe things at the American Legion. That should
That's
tell
cool.
you something.
Yeah, but the American Legion also has pool, which is
Shuffleboard,
shuffleboard. That is the oldest school of all bar games, I think.
for sure.
But shuffleboard, like the outside version where you have like the pole and shit, that is
Yeah,
like
on
beyond
like a cruise deck.
Yeah, that's like beyond boomer. That's like generation. That's like, what do they call those before? The greatest generation. The greatest generation plays outside shuffleboard. Boomers play horseshoes. Gen Xers play
Dungeons and
video
Dragons.
games, board games.
Yeah. They play Sorry.
Yeah. Millennials, we play cornhole and
we
then,
play Bop It. We play fucking
Yeah. I was
And
like,
the tail
dude,
of
I
a
see you guys playing
donkey.
spike ball, but if any of you guys broke out the fucking Bop It right now, I would fucking take it to the hole. But yeah, so we were playing a couple of those games and whatnot, and it was a nice time. Like it was like, you know, they're all from Harford County, so like they don't give a flying fuck about all the shit. So they're just having a grand old time. There's probably like 12 people there cooking out. Nobody was like dancing and making out and stuff, but like we were eating some burgers, hanging out. And, you know, I live next door, so I was just the guy from next door, which gives me free reign, dude. There's not even a fence between us. I'm coming over. Plus, I was invited. And then I hit up Mehedi, and the delivery driving shit has knocked my car, like, on its last legs. Like,
Really?
this whole weekend,
You
I
just
was
got
on,
that car.
I mean, like, tire-wise, though.
Okay.
Literally,
okay.
its last legs. To get even
Gotcha.
more metaphorical, it needs a new pair of shoes.
Perfect.
Yes,
I can get
perfect.
behind that one.
Yeah, it needs a new pair of shoes.
You're getting
And,
shoes before you get new legs.
Yeah. Every time my fucking shoes get a hole of it, I'm just like, dude, I gotta fucking
I'm trying to
rid
get
of
some
all of-
fucking purebred Italian legs this time.
I'm not taking my shoes off, dude. I'm just getting rid of the whole fucking bottom section. So like every one of my tires had a screw in them. And like I've been trying
Ooh.
to keep up with them, trying to like pop them out, plug them, but it's so like tedious to have to keep doing that and jacking up your car all the time and doing it. And finally, I just got to the point where I was like, all right, my front tire is literally a spare tire now because it won't stay inflated for more than like 4 hours.
Yeah.
It'll like pump up and then just be totally deflated in the next whatever. My back tire is losing its entire inflation over the course of 3 days. So is the other back tire. I only have one tire that I can depend on at this
Jesus.
time.
Well,
My
at least when you like buy new tires, you can just be like, all right, let me get 4 new tires.
That's what I
and
did.
I'll keep the one as a spare that wasn't busted.
Yeah, I dropped $540 on tires today, dude.
Jesus. There wasn't like a
Like-
quarantine sale?
Not really.
Damn.
Maybe. I don't know how much
It's probably a
tires cost.
markup, dude.
Exactly, dude. He was like,
You're a first sale in 3 months.
luckily, my mechanic is like a family mechanic, kind of. So like, I trust him. I played in that band Denim and Lace with him for like 3 years. So like, we're
Yeah.
cool. That is, I've said it before. You gotta have a friend that does car work. The last thing you ever want to do is go to a random ass mechanic because they will fucking. They'll do something to you. So he hooked me up with 4 new tires, and yeah, it was. But before that, I called up Mehedi because I was planning on going down to Fed that night. But I was like, dude, honestly, I'm on a spare tire. I'm on 2 other tires that I can't depend on at all. I don't think I'm ready to just drive downtown. I got to finish out this whole weekend's worth of driving shifts and shit. So like,
Damn.
I'm down to chill, but like, you might just
Come
have to roll up
here,
to me.
please.
Yeah. And plus, he was down for it because you can't do shit down in like the city right now compared to what you can do in Towson. So he was like, all right, yeah, I'll
I mean, dude,
ride
there's
up.
probably more people up there than legally could be in a bar.
Definitely. Now, don't get me wrong. The bars weren't crazy packed. It would honestly. Let me put it this way. I wish that this was always what bars were like. Like
Okay.
the amount of people that were at Rec Room and at the Point. Unless I'm playing. If I'm playing, I want it to be fucking wall to wall, obviously. But if I'm just chilling, this is like the ideal amount of people. I've never been more comfortable just chilling. Like you can hear yourself talk. The music's
Yeah.
in the background.
It's like a Monday night at a bar, but on a weekend.
Yes. Yeah. It was like the perfect amount. And so he came up here. We went out to, I think we went to the Rec Room again, because it was like, that's my new favorite place right now, dude, for reasons we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But, and then, so we were drinking there for a bit with Zach and Mehedi, Alex's neighbor, but not Alex, because Alex went out drinking earlier that day. And everyone at the bar when I showed up was like, "Oh, dude, you just missed Alex. Like, he was so fucked up. He just like stumbled home, and I think he just passed out." And I was like, "Yeah, he was." I literally got off the phone with him an hour ago, and then I texted him like 30 minutes later, and I just never heard back from him. And I was like, that's obviously what the fuck happened. It's classic Alex move. Saturdays.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's just like. He's ripping to go out. Like, I knew he's such like an outdoor cat,
Mm-hmm. Alex thrives in those environments.
He thrives in that environment. So I'm sure he just like went back a little too hard.
Yeah. So he was
understandable. Happens to the best of us.
Totally. And so that was like it's always like the weird thing, like when you're hanging out with somebody for the first time without your glue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like.
You don't have, and that's always weird. It'd be weirder if Mehdi wasn't there. Like, it was just you and him.
Yeah.
Because then the dynamic is so different. Because it's usually three people. It's you, Alex, and him.
You need a third person. You need to be 3 dudes at a bar at minimum.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, if it's like a not weekend night, like, you can catch a happy hour with your boy and sit at the bars. But, like, if it's like a weekend night, you got to have at least the trio, dude. You got to have the tripod. Just for social dynamics,
Yeah.
So I hit up Zach, and
I mean, to be fair, we could totally dynamic duo any situation.
We could do it. We could do it. You gotta like
if you're like a new friend,
dude.
Yeah.
You need to have that 3-way dynamic. You need to have him say something, and then it doesn't necessarily have to be me who says the next thing. It could be this guy.
But you could throw something else in. You could tag it. You could,
The flow is better that way. So we're all hanging out. We're out at the bars. I don't know what time we decided to go back because I got pretty fucking trippy-rippy that night. And then Zach was like, "You want to go back to my condo?" And I was like, "Let's go back to my spot." I don't even know how I convinced him. I don't even know why I convinced him. But for whatever reason, I just had a hunch that my spot was the place. So we're walking back, and when I get back to the door, I walk into my apartment, classic mode. My brother's got like 7 people over. He's got like some chicks over. I was like, "Yo, this is sick." Not because like I know these girls are my friends. They're my friends, but like they're also happen to be super hot. So like when you're hanging out with Lord Leisure for the first time and you just randomly stumble into your apartment to a bunch of nines.
Quarantine.
Yeah, during quarantine to a bunch of fucking nines rumbling around. You're like, I was like, dude, I look like the boy right now. Great first impression. Great first impression. And like obviously my brother and his friends are all fucked up and like we all were on the wrestling team in high school, so like obviously a bunch of dudes. We started wrestling. So like I'm like trying to I walk in, we don't have shot glasses anymore for some reason. I don't know what the hell happened to all of our shot glasses. So I was like, "Yo, let's get some Evan shots out of these wine glasses." We take a couple pulls of the Evan, walk back to the couch. Mehedi's sitting on the couch, Zach's sitting on the couch. I try to walk out of the room, and all of a sudden, I got Dom and his friend Scotty on my legs, not letting me go anywhere, dude. They're not letting me go. And I'm like, "Bro, let me walk to the kitchen, man. I'm trying to make myself a drink." This guy was like, "Nah, man, come on, man. What you got, bro?" And I was like, "Bro, you don't want this smoke right now, dude. Trust me, you don't want this smoke, dude. You guys were wrestling, that's cool. But then Daddy's home now." Daddy's home.
It's time to play.
Fucking walk into the door, fucking, "How y'all fucking feeling?" Fucking crowd goes wild. Fucking, "The crowd hates Jimmy Selesky."
Yeah.
Fucking walk into the house.
Mic drops from your ceiling. You start talking.
"There's been a lot of talk." So then it became like a Royal Rumble ladder match in my fucking apartment.
And Dom was cheating. Him and his
dude.
fucking teammate came in the ring at the same time.
Dude, but luckily I'm almost 28, bro. I have man strength, bro.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get it now. I think Dom's probably getting it in the next couple years. He's had to wait for it. I think I now have it.
Yeah.
I fucking like strangled Dom with my fucking hand. There's blood all over the carpet.
Oh my god! Holy shit, dude! You
My
look
knee-
fine.
My knees, if you could see my knees right now, dude,
jeez.
they would disagree. My knees are all fucked up. My neck is still sore. All
Ooh.
kinds of shit. I will say they did eventually tap me out, the two of them. They got me, like, one of them had my legs. Dom got on top of me, put me in an arm bar, and I was just like, it was one of those
You're
moments.
like, I gotta grow up some more.
It was one of those moments of clarity where I was like, all right, I don't need to tap right now, but also if I don't tap, Dom's probably going to pull harder because he's blacked out, and I'm not going to know that my arm is broken because I'm blacked out.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
just
yeah.
fucking tapped, and I was like, all right, and also I was like super out of breath. Super fucking out of breath. I was like, you know what? I'm tapping out because you fucking earned it. And then, classic situation. Mehdi's on the couch, and fucking we get in a big ass like political debate. It's just like all the good stuff you want out of a night. It was like everything from like you start out the day, you get some music stuff done, then you go to the bars then you go to the cookout, see some old friends, then you go to the bars with your boys, you come back, there's a fucking Royal Rumble in your apartment, you're drinking, there's people running around.
Damn, dude, you had an eventful ass day.
Very nice Saturday, and of course,
Wait, what'd you do before all of that?
Before all of what?
All of the events. Was that the band day too?
That was the same day. This is
my
all
God,
one day.
dude. You had a
this
great
is all one
day.
day. That was like my best, one of my favorite Saturdays
Jeez.
in a while.
That was like a pent up day from just staying in too long.
Yeah, dude. Just everybody, and of course, I wake up in the morning at the exact time I was supposed to already be at Seasons, like exactly 11 a.m. I was like, I should be walking in the door right now. Can't find my fucking
Yeah.
phone.
Still got to refill the air in your tires.
Yeah, my tires are flat. Fucking can't. I'm just like super fucking hungover. There's blood all over my floors. Like there's like
Oh my
blood
God,
stains
dude.
everywhere, and
Jesus
I was
Christ.
just like,
you really need to meet those carpet cleaners.
Jesus. And I walk into Seasons, and like I said, I didn't have my phone because I couldn't find it. And I walk into Seasons 15 minutes late, and I overhear the owners, Matt and Pete at Seasons, discussing. Matt's like, "Where the fuck is Jimmy? Where the fuck is he?" Blah blah blah. And Pete's like, "Bro, he'll be here eventually. He's probably walking in the door right now. That's how it works." And as soon as I hear that, I turn the corner. He's like, "See, I fucking told you, he's here." It's like, yes, I fucking love working here.
Hell
It's the
yeah.
fucking best. And they were just like, "You fucking went out drinking last night?" I was like, "Did I ever?"
There's blood on your face like war paint.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So then I fucking, we had a nice day at Seasons. I went to, I really was craving a bagel again, Locke's Bagel with cream cheese.
Yeah.
And so I would decide I was going to go to Einstein Bagel Bros because I had an annoying thing with THB recently.
Really?
No,
What
no
happened?
shade to THB. I respect what you guys are doing, but also it's like, really, bro. So 2 weeks ago, my immediate thought was like, it's House Not Bagels, man. I want to support local business, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I'm driving back from a delivery on a shift because I'm always feeling this way on a Sunday. I want a fucking bagel on a Sunday. So I'm driving back from a shift, and I call them up, and I was like, hey, can I place an order for pickup? And they were like, nah, you got to go through the app. And I was like, oh, you mean I can't just like tell you what I want and come and grab it? And they're like, no, you got to go through the app. And I was like, what app? And they're like, the THB app. And I was like, all right, dude, I'm driving right now. I'm not doing that. So I just went to Einstein. Like,
Did they
kind
have
of
a
irritating.
drive-through?
Well, Einstein, like, you walk in, you have to wear a mask. And then, well, you're talking about THB or Einstein?
No, Einstein.
Einstein.
I haven't been there in a while.
No, I don't think they have a drive. I didn't see one. You just
Okay.
kind of walk in, get your bagel. Like, I called it in because I'm on the middle of a shift and I'm trying to like call in, say like, this is what I want. I'll be there in 5 minutes to pick it up, so it's already ready. I can get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And so THB wasn't having it, so I went through Einstein. And I got it, and then a week later, still feeling the burn from that. I'm still a little perturbed because I went back to Seasons and I was like, yeah, I got Einstein because THB just wouldn't take my order. Like, they refuse. I was like, dude, I'm on the phone with you, bro. Just can I just tell you what I want and then you like make it and then I grab it? Like, we can't do that anymore? They were like, no. I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't get into all that because I'm not trying to like bug them,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the way I'm feeling in my heart. And so this week I was like, All right, I'm gonna go to Einstein. So I go to Einstein at 2:10. They close at 2. I was like, what the fuck kind of place closes at 2 p.m.? So now I'm annoyed at Einstein. All the bagel places in Towson are just getting my fucking goat right now.
The thing is, Einstein is like, because in Bethesda, whenever we have shoots in Bethesda, me and Joey would usually like stop at Einstein because there was like one on the way there. And like, it's like a good filling breakfast, but it's nothing on THB in terms of quality and taste.
Well,
like
wait till you get a load of this then, bro.
They got some spongy ass eggs, dude. I know
that might
you
be the
don't.
problem.
I know you're getting just like lox
and cream cheese
and stuff, but like I was getting like regular sandwiches and like THB. They use like legit bacon. It's not like that weird like freeze dried shit that you can cook in 30 seconds in the microwave. Like Einstein, I don't know. And their coffee always tastes so fucked up.
You know,
coffee sucks.
I drink so much coffee from so many various places that I don't even pay attention to what it tastes like. Like I couldn't tell you what a good coffee is.
I mean, to be fair, if I'm drinking coffee, it's not because I like the taste of it. It's because I want to wake up.
Yeah.
But if I had a choice, if like, you know, and I do because there's a Starbucks right next to it. I'm too lazy to ever get the coffee from the Starbucks, but if I wasn't lazy, if I already had coffee, I would get it from, you know, if I had had coffee before I went to Einstein, I would have gotten the coffee at Starbucks too.
But that's kind of like what the whole idea behind any drink that you drink to get a specific stimulation from it, whether it be coffee for the caffeine effect or booze for that drunk effect. It's like I prefer certain beers to other beers.
Yeah.
But like there's no beer on the face of the earth that I think tastes better than a Diet Dr. Pepper. So it's like when somebody's like, "Oh my god, this is a great
listen to this.
beer."
You've definitely drank more beer than coffee in your life, correct?
Coffee's pulling. Well, actually, beer's making a good run for itself this week too. So I can't say I've been drinking a whole lot of fucking both recently.
Yeah.
I think if anything, diet soda's been seeing a recession.
Damn, really?
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I drank 3 cans of Diet Dr. Pepper the other night because they were in my apartment vending machine. So I bought all 3 of them immediately. I was like, "These are mine."
Dude, yeah. I went shopping last night because like I had food at my house, but like I didn't want to eat it. So I was like, let me go to the grocery store real quick. And I checked like Giant when they were closed, and it said they were closing at like 11 and it was 10:30. So I just like sped up the street. I like ran in there. I was like running around all the aisles. I was ignoring all the stickers on the floor telling me which way to enter the aisle because there was no one there anyway. It didn't matter.
Yeah. It's like, dude.
But like I was racing around, and like when I was checking out, I was like, ooh, no, it'd be good with dinner if I got like a bottle of Coke. So I got the bottle of Coke, and I had been in a Coke drought. And when I ate my dinner, before half of my dinner was eaten, I had already drank like 3/4 of the Coke.
You were splurging, bro.
I was fiending for that Coke. I was fiending for
fucking
Coke.
Cokehead, bro. What the hell,
Cokehead.
dude?
I'm a Coca-Cola head, dude.
I see how it goes, man. But like, just so, because I feel like right now at this point in this bagel story, people still are thinking, Jimmy, get the fuck over it.
Yeah. So what happened?
But however, after I discovered Einstein was closed, I was like, you know what? I'm going to play THB's game better. I'm not going to call him. I'm going to drive over there. I'm going to put a mask on. I'm going to walk in the store. I'm going to say, can I please have a bagel with lox and cream cheese, lettuce, tomato, and light capers and onions, please? Everything bagel. Normal order.
Yeah.
Walk in, standing there for like 5 minutes. And the guy is like, well, I'll be right with you. He's doing some bullshit on the computer. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. He walks up. He's like, you picking up? And I was like, nah, I was going to just place an order real quick. And he's like, nah, man, you got to go through the app. And I was like,
bro, I'm right here.
I'm right here, dude. Like, I'm looking at you right now. I can't just say, yo, can you please make this thing? And he was like, nah.
That's
And I
pretty
was like,
fucked up.
I was like, all right,
I think that's the line for me.
that is the line for me because I gave him a second chance, and I get it. But also, it's like, dude, come on, man. It's like, so I'm not gonna get in an argument with the guy.
Also, it's also like when originally you stood in there and you're waiting for 5 minutes before they helped you.
Yeah.
They could have asked that in the beginning, like, hey, are you picking up or what? And you could have said, hey, no, I'm gonna place an order. And then, oh no, you got to do it through the app. And if that had happened right when you walked in, you probably would have just gotten the app and done it.
Yeah,
because you're already planning to wait a second. But
yeah, it's like
I feel like them making you wait, and I think that would fuck me up too.
It just annoyed me to the point where I was like, look, I'm not gonna make a scene. I'm not gonna argue with you. Like, if this is your store's policy, that's fine. But also, I'm leaving. So I was just like, all right, man. And I just walked out, just went back to work. It's like, I'm not doing this whole shit. Like, I didn't even bring my phone in here. Now I got to walk back out to my car, walk back in, download a fucking app, register my email address and all this bullshit just to get a fucking bagel. I'm not doing that. I'm right here, dude. I'm right here. And I get the whole, again, I don't mean to cast any shade on THB. I love local business. I support them. I will definitely go back there when you start fucking taking orders normally again, because I'm still not getting the fucking app. But like, until then, it's just like, I get it to an extent because they're doing this whole like contactless ordering shit. But it's like, dude,
how are you're not fucking touching the bagels to be like, all right, can I get the fucking this bagel? And then I put my finger in the cream cheese I want. I spit on the lox I want.
Yeah, this one.
And then I go and then lick every topping I want on the bagel.
I want this lettuce and this tomato. Can I cut the tomato? Let me cut the tomato. I want this exact size.
Can I use my penis to cut the tomato?
Like, bro, I'm just going to tell you what I want, and then you're going to hand me a bag. You're going to hand me a bag. You're going to hand me a bag that you've touched, that your 4 staffers in the back have touched, and then I'm going to fucking eat it. And it's like, dude, what's the difference between me just telling you and then we do the same shit? What's the difference? Is my whole point. So it's like there's certain things like that it's like, I get what you're trying to do, but it's kind of like the same thing when you go to a supermarket and they have the fucking like over top of the credit card machines, they have like the saran wrap.
Yeah.
But like they don't change the saran wrap over the course of the entire day.
It's protecting the machine from coronavirus.
Yeah,
no one
like,
else.
Yeah, it's like, once we lift this
like, and machines can't get coronavirus.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This thing's fine. It might get a regular computer virus, but it's unsusceptible to the coronavirus. Meanwhile, 75 people per hour are walking up to this fucking machine touching the same plastic wrap, and I'm supposed to feel safe because of that? Because you guys want to put on the facade of stopping the spread? Just be real,
it's almost
bro.
It seems like they're trying to like sell those like card readers. Like it's like a grandma with like an old couch or something, or like a sneakerhead where they have like the plastic on the bottom of their shoes. It's like, come on, dude, just take it off. Just fucking walk around in it.
Yeah. It's so certain things like that, it's just, I just want people to be real is all I'm saying. Like, I totally respect rules and stuff like that, but the second your rules just kind of like seem like hypocritical and backwards, it's just like, sorry, man. So I went back to Seasons, and of course Matt at Seasons was like, I can make a fucking bagel. I mean, we can make a bagel at Seasons. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? So he gets out pizza dough, puts it in a circle, boils it for 30 seconds, throws it in the oven, comes out, puts some cream cheese on it. Awesome. It's like, dude, we should make bagels.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I was like,
he basically just made you a fresh baked bagel.
It was actually really good. It was really good.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's why I appreciate Towson Hot Bagels over Einstein Bagels, is because they do make their bagels fresh every morning. But you got a fucking made to order bagel, dude. That's something else.
Made with love. I helped make it. I helped make my own bagel. That's the first time I ever done such a thing.
Yeah.
It was a nice thing.
You do the same thing to make pretzels, but you got to throw a little baking powder in there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, usually you would use like lye, but like I don't just have fucking baking lye laying
Isn't that
around.
Also what they put on like bodies to like decompose them faster if you kill somebody?
Yeah. and it like makes
Same thing.
soaps and stuff. Yeah, we
Okay.
saw Fight Club.
Yeah, I saw Fight Club. I know it.
Dude, well, you were talking about man strength and tire problems earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I had a doozy, but it wasn't for me. So, like Liz came over, and there's like this little curb on my street where like it's actually like behind my house for the driveway, but like I can't park there, so, which sucks. But like my street's good with parking.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But like right at the dip of the curb for the driveway, there's like a metal bar of like to reinforce the concrete, I guess. But it's like sharp at the edge of that curb because it just like it cuts off and the concrete is broken away. So there's just like a little metal spike sticking out. So Liz was like backing into a spot and then just like sliced the side of one of her tires.
Ooh.
And I was like, fuck. It was right before we were going to one of the protests. And so like that we were already like running late. We're perpetually late to protests.
Always late.
Always late to a protest. But so like, you know, I like literally was coming outside to be like, all right, we're about to go. And then she's like, I could hear the tire going like,
It was on the side of the tire?
on the side of the tire. So I was like, oh, fuck. Cause like when I heard it, I was like, okay, well, like maybe Hamden Tire, it's like 2 blocks and around the corner. Like they might be able to plug it if it's
Or Jimmy Selesky, bro. Bring it to Jim's tire shop. I
Yeah,
plugged
dude. As long as your
everybody's
fucking
tires.
brother hasn't lent it out to someone.
Yeah, exactly. Jim's Tire and Auto.
So I like we go to look at it and it's on the side and we're like, fuck. So my street's kind of like at an angle. So I was like, can you like just drive up around the corner and get it on flat? And then I'll just put the spare on it for now. And then we'll like take my car. So she like takes it up to Roland. We go through her trunk and get all the shit out. I like jack her stuff up and I'm trying to teach her to like, she knows how to do it. She's been taught how to do it, but like, I feel like anytime like I'm doing something like that and if someone's there, I don't mind looking like an asshole. And
Yeah.
like I don't like mind looking like an asshole mansplaining changing a tire because
That's
like
your fucking girlfriend, bro. You
but-
gotta
and
change
I
your
know,
tire.
I know. Exactly. I gotta change the tire. But also like I wanna let her know how to do it in case I'm not there for a time it's popped, you know? So I'm like, all right, look under here, see here there's like a notch, you can put the jack under there and then it won't fuck up the undercarriage of your car. So like just line it up, make sure it's in there before you like start jacking it up or else it might fucking fall off. And then I get the shit up, we take the tire off, put it in the back, put the spare on, and then I start trying to like take the jack down. And for whatever reason, like taking it down was like harder than putting it up. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like this should be the easy part. Like it should be working with me to fucking take itself down. And I'm turning, I'm trying to turn. And then all of a sudden, I just fucking snap the steel rod for turning
Too
the
strong.
jack, dude. My fucking man strength came
You
out,
fucking
dude.
out-jacked the jack, dude.
Dude, I out-jacked the jack. So then I'm just like, fuck. So then I take half of it, and I use it like if I was using like a screwdriver. So I just like put like the straight rod through the whatever, like the hole, and I start trying to like crank it down and it's still not going. And I was like, fuck, dude, like the jack might be broke. Like I don't know, I've never had this happen before. So luckily it's at my apartment, so I just like go to my car and get my jack, and I'm literally fucking jacking up. I've never used that jack before. I'm jacking up her car by like turning it with my hand. Like my jack is fucking legit, dude.
Ooh.
I mean, like eventually, like right when it was like when it started taking the like the weight of the car, like I had to get the rod in there like for 1 or 2 cranks. But dude, my jack fucking rules.
Either that,
So
but more so, you fucking rule, bro.
Yeah, dude. So I outjack the jack. I fucking get jacked up with my boy. I take hers out. And then even when it's out from under the car, I'm like, this shit's not turning. Like, I've never seen this happen before. I've never heard of this happening before. like, I'm so glad this didn't happen anywhere else because that would have fucking sucked. So, but no, I get the tire on, put the car back down, everything's golden. We get to the protest.
But
I was so fucking sweaty. It was like the hottest day, and then I broke steel, so of course I was sweating.
But like that is what you want. What you don't want to have happen is what happened where I work. Is there's a girl that works with me who got a flat tire I told you about.
Yeah,
I plugged her tire. Her boyfriend also works there. Now he's got a flat tire.
Ooh.
But like, now granted, they're younger kids. They're like 21 or whatever. It's like whatever. But like at the same time, like as soon as it happens, she calls me up. With her boyfriend. She calls me up.
Dude, she calls her boyfriend up to help her boyfriend.
Yeah. So she calls me up and she's like, we're trying to figure out how to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right. So I'm like talking her through it and this, that, the other thing. And I was like, does he not know how to, like, does he, and I could just hear him in the background, like, not really, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, that's
a boy's nightmare.
Dude, it's a boy's nightmare. But here's the thing.
We're men, though.
Here's the thing. There was a time in my life when I didn't know how to change a tire. But
to be fair, I don't know how to plug a tire. I've changed so many tires that I'm like, all right, I can do this on anything.
Exactly. But before that, there was never a time in my life when I was going to admit that I didn't know how to change a tire.
No, it's crazy. Like, they could have just looked on YouTube.
That's what I was saying. I was like, dude, if I was with my girlfriend and I got a flat tire and her thing was going to be, well, let me call up Jimmy from work. He'll know what to do. I would have immediately been like, no, don't call Jimmy. Hold on one second. I gotta run to the bathroom. I would have ran to the bathroom. I would have YouTubed how to change a tire in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretended to take a shit, watched the whole video, come out, and acted like I knew what the fuck I was doing. Even if I didn't.
It came to me. It came to me during my shit.
Sorry, I really had to take a shit real quick, but like, I got this shit. And then like, that's what I would have done. So it was so difficult for me to even like interpret the fact that this guy even let that happen. Dude, it's one thing when your girlfriend gets a flat tire and somebody else changes it. It's another thing when you get a flat tire with your girlfriend and some other guy changes it. That's just dude,
you gotta call up fucking tech support.
I was just like, dude, I hope this comes as a lesson to you. Because I even feel uncomfortable on the phone right now. I don't want to be this guy. And all it took to not be this guy and not have this guy on the phone with your girlfriend is knowing basic man shit. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're a guy and you don't know how to change a tire, I want you to stop this podcast. I want you to go on YouTube. I want you to watch as many videos as it takes until you get it and then come back and watch the rest of this. Please. Yeah. Please do it for yourself. Don't do it for me.
Do it for yourself because honestly, like most girls know how to change tires.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna have to fucking call your girlfriend to change your tire, dude?
Is that the guy you want to be? Oh my god, I got a flat tire. Hold up, let me call my girlfriend. She'll fix. No, dude, no. I don't care what year it is. I don't care if it's 2120. You should never, ever be calling your girlfriend to change your fucking tire.
Because either she's going to change her tire or she's going to call a better man to help you through it.
A better man. And that's really, I mean, that's just what it is, man. And I hate even saying it. I don't want to be this guy.
But I am.
Daddy's home.
Oh shit. And then let me think. Yeah, so that was my whole tire man strength combo for you.
Gotta tell that story, dude. Gotta tell that story. And then, of course, biggest news of the week. The biggest news of the week.
God, I can't believe we haven't even talked about it. We're like an hour in.
If you live in the Towson, Baltimore metro area and you are over the age of really 23, then you probably recall the Record Theater, or if you're younger than that, then you probably never knew that the Record Theater existed. You probably think of it as a torrent.
I don't know. Because there were a ton of like kids that went there to go see like All Time Low and shit.
Yeah, true. But like the Record Theater has been closed for like, when did it close down? Like 2014?
Probably. I mean, maybe even earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I guess so. Like if you're 23 now, and that theater closed, let's say 7, 8 years ago to be safe.
We were going to Torrent when we were supposed to be graduated college.
Yeah, we were going to Torrent when it was still borderline appropriate.
When it like first opened up.
Yeah,
well,
it was acceptable.
We had just turned like 21.
Yeah, like we were there, and it was normal. And so yeah, that was probably 7 years ago, let's say. So you would have been 16 when it closed down if you're 23 now. So let's say if you're still in college, you probably don't remember that there was ever such a thing as the Record Theater. But the Record Theater, we've talked about it previously on the podcast, was a live music venue in Towson owned by the same family, the Wreckers, who owned the Rec Room and also Towson Tavern. And they closed it down in the early 2010s to try to turn it into this like nightclub situation called the Torrent.
Yeah.
They remodeled it.
You can't forget the Town Tavern and the former S&B Crab Ranch.
That was them too?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Scott and Brian Crab Ranch. Scott and Brian Wrecker.
Really? Those guys are just opening up businesses left and right. That's sick.
I mean, they kind of like, they own a big portion of the strip, you know?
Now, that's fucking sweet. But you sent me a text, and I gotta say, dude, when you sent me that text, I was driving and I almost swerved off the fucking road. You sent me a screenshot of something saying Record 2.0, and I looked at it and I was like, dude, no fucking way. They're bringing it back. And right now, my only qualm is, can we just call it the Record again? Do we have to call it Record 2.0? You know, let's just call it what it is, dude. It's the fucking Wrecker. But either way, I don't fucking care. It's a great...
I mean, people are just going to call it the Wrecker anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you put whatever you want on the sign. But like that sign that was already there was pretty sick. I don't even know if it's still there, honestly.
I don't think so. They have the new like LED torrent line or sign. Because before it was like... Because the Wrecker used to be like a movie theater. Mm-hmm. Because that was where my parents like worked and met.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
And it was like, and the theater was like the Wrecker Theater and Rec Room, like, because it was like 2 theaters and then like, you know, a lobby and all that shit. But yeah, very interesting stuff. Also, no, it's crazy. The back room of Rec Room, when we used to go there before Torrent Lounge, where like the DJs would play and shit. It was that small like black box with the bar. That was the green room of the original Wrecker.
Oh, that was called, what was it called? Because I also remember, are you talking about the Blue Room right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because for a while it was called, I remember that when we were in our peak college bar days, we were always partying in the fucking Blue Room in the back, and it was sick.
Yeah, that was the dancing room.
But like I was looking at, I was like, this is everything. I mean, dude, we had a full fucking segment like 2 months ago talking about how Towson needs a live music venue, dude. One of our highest trafficked YouTube videos.
Must have been listening.
Somewhere around 33 views. You got to imagine one of those 33 views was Scott and Brian. You got to believe it. You got to believe it. Big podcast heads. But like when I heard that, it just blew my mind, and so now I'm just very much looking forward to those opportunities. I regret that it took until I was in my almost borderline, I guess what you would call late 20s, for this to happen. This has been so much sicker if I was like 22 and this opened up. But like still, I'm playing at the fucking Record, dude. No question. Dom's gonna get shows there. They're probably gonna start booking comedians again. We're gonna have another venue to bring people on the fucking cast and shit like that. Just what we need, dude. It's what Towson needs, bro. We don't need a
beautiful.
nightclub. We got 17 fucking nightclub-esque. All Torrent eventually became was an extension of Rec Room.
Yeah.
Like they had a DJ on stage, but it was like you just kind of walked in one or the other, and then you like walked back and forth through the doors, and it was all one fucking thing. You know?
I mean, I think what they were going for was like, all right, there's no nightclub in Towson that has like a cover charge. Let's fucking, if we make that big, that'll be dope.
Yeah.
But then eventually no one went, and then they're like, you can just come in for free.
Well, it felt good because I feel like they, they're very attentive. They're very much involved in the Towson scene, the owners, obviously. They have a lot of investment in this community. And they noticed when we were in college in 2011, 2012, that the scene was turning the way of like EDM. That was when everybody had like what were those fucking things called? Like everybody would go to those raves, and there was always those like pictures on Facebook of people in crowds and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like every one of our friends had a picture at one of those things. I forgot what they were even called, but it was like,
I forget.
Yeah, I can't even remember. But like that was like what people
I never
were doing.
was invited to one of them.
Dubstep, bro. Remember dubstep? That was the
dubstep
shit,
was
bro.
huge.
There was some good stuff in that genre, but like they saw that turn and they made the move. And I'm not even gonna lie, at the time I was like, this might be a good idea, just because like there's not really any place in Towson like that, so maybe that could be a good business move. But I don't think it ever really became what they expected it to become.
Yeah.
Maybe just because the market wasn't really demanding it as much as they may have thought it was. But then when they released on Facebook this past week that they're going to open up the Wrecker again as the Wrecker, as a live music venue, they said in that post, they said, we've seen how much joy and happiness live music has brought to our community in Towson, and the good news is something like that, we're bringing Wrecker back. Wrecker was a staple, this, that, the other thing. And I was like, dude, that's cool, because they noticed that other bars were doing it, that you look across the street and the Point's doing it. Turtle was starting to book, the Backyard is starting to book gigs, and like they noticed it and they made the adjustment, and it just made me feel so happy to be like, oh, cool, that's dope. That's fucking dope. So it's a power play.
Good news. It was good news for sure.
Yeah, Joe, and I were all at the studio. And we were just like yoting about it endlessly. So it's huge. Maybe you get some gigs there. Maybe we can do a show there. We've been talking about doing a live from the studio presents type of thing.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Something like that would be dope. But yeah, that was probably the biggest positive news this week. Of course,
I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
At least for like local news.
No, this is national news, dude. This is huge. I'm surprised this wasn't on CNN. But when was the last one? I guess it was last Tuesday, technically. But you said the last protest you went to was on Friday?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like...
It was low key. It wasn't like a march. It was like I said earlier, it was kind of just like a big show of force. Mm-hmm. It was just like kind of just having like a rally to I don't know.
Did you post your black square last week, dude?
No, because that was also like, that was a weird thing, because it was like a weird coordinated thing where like everyone started posting them. It was actually, I think it was supposed to be something about like the music industry to begin with.
Was it?
Yeah, like I think the message kind of got distorted for that whole Blackout Thursday or whatever it was. And what ended up happening was people were tagging like hashtag Black Lives Matters on it. And what ended up happening is like the trending page for that hashtag, instead of like having, more important posts and pictures show up, the entire page just got blacked out. So it kind of like went against
yeah, that was the two kind of like weird things I saw, because there was like a certain group of people. It always goes that way. There's nothing, I feel like there's no amount of wokeness you can ever get to where somebody's like, you're woke enough, because then it's like one group of people that are like, I'm going to show that I am supporting this movement by doing this. and then they do it, and then the next group of people comes in and outwokes them and is like, no, actually, this is distorting news on the other pages and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, it's like, what do you even...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just was like, I'll just not post anything, and then I won't clog up anyone's timeline like I usually do.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's kind of like, that's the wokest take, is to just not post anything.
Exactly.
Also, it's like, that's not what it's supposed to, like, you're not supposed to, like, this isn't some weird virtue signaling thing. Like, this isn't, you're not supposed to be like, oh, check out all of these pictures of me at the protest. Like, check out all these selfies I took. It's like, dude, I'm going to the protest. I'm turning my phone off. Like, before I turn my phone off, I'm turning off data. I'm disabling GPS. If I don't want to be tracked, I don't want people to, you know, like, and shit pops off, I don't want to be traced back to this thing. Like, like, fuck off.
Plus, it's kind of like, all those movements like that, because I think right now what we're experiencing is, in the initial unrest after what happened, you have these big outbursts of public anger and things like that. And so people go out and they demonstrate and things like that. But to me, that's not necessarily where the true change comes from. The true change is, hey, it's been a week ago now. And so at this point, who are the people that are still trying to make a difference now, as opposed to the people who are jumping on the, oh, this is trending on Instagram, let me post my black square to show all my friends that I'm fucking this, that, the other thing, or let me go out to these protests while it's still viral and the thing to do and take a bunch of pictures with my cool sign that I spent all day putting up. And it's like, a week later, it's like, you know, it's kind of this, to me, this is where we actually start to see what's really going to happen, you know? And I think it's cool that, like, people are still going out and demonstrating, but there's just certain things like that that become like hashtags and shit like that, that it's just like, it almost becomes one of those things where it's like, I found myself personally just going on Instagram and just seeing who was doing it. Because I wasn't going to do it, because I kind of felt the same way that you were saying, you know, but I just was like, it became like this kind of like, it was like, I didn't even, the point of it became for people to just show themselves off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was like, like those things to me don't strike me as like, oh, this is what's gonna, you know, reform our police system. If I post this fucking square on Instagram on Blackout Tuesday and hashtag it, and like, you know, it's just like those things to me, they don't resonate with me, you know? So.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, I mean, it's just kind of like a little, you know, Facebook like photo frame type deal. It's like something that people are seeing and like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, and that's what annoys me, because it's like it's I don't know, it doesn't seem genuine to me. It doesn't. I know there are people that care, but I know there are a lot of people who don't actually care, who are just doing it to fucking, like you said, like I hate using the term virtue signal, because it's such like a cliche thing to say.
I just want to know the over under of how, like, who posted those and have not gone to a protest. Yeah.
That, and I mean, the problem is there's a lot of things that get born out of it. Like the big hashtag this week that I saw was the whole like defund the police thing, which I'll be honest, when I first saw that, my immediate like visceral reaction was like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? We're talking about like getting rid of the police. You know what I mean? Like, I was like...
You're trying to tell me you want to get rid of the people that have quotas for arrests? Well, not even for doing just justice, but for... if you want to make your money this month, you got to give out a couple speeding tickets and traffic stops and...
Well, yeah, and I will say, what really kind of, like, opened my eyes to it a lot was... because, like I said, my initial reaction was...
They're just a business, too, dude. There's a business that... are the law. Mm-hmm.
I guess I was kind of looking for like, because like I feel like my opinion has shifted a lot just in this past day. I watched like I'll get to it, but my initial thought was like, okay, so we're talking about not having, or like what like, it's one thing to say defund the police, but it's a whole other thing to say what are we going to have instead? Unless
what people are talking about is having the community police their own community, which is like what happened with the police originally until like shit got weird. And then also, like, I don't know, like at some point the police got militarized to the point where, like, when we send our army somewhere else to fight the enemy, they don't have any attachment to that place. They don't know those people, so then they can treat them as if they aren't people. The police do that right now. How many police officers actually live in the neighborhoods they police?
Yeah, that's a good
They're
question.
essentially going into war zones every day thinking that the citizens are their enemies and they can show force. They can do whatever the fuck they want to these people because they don't know these people. They don't care about these people. They aren't their neighbor.
Yeah.
They don't have to fucking see them every morning when they get their paper. They don't have, you know, like it's just fucked up. Like, it's fucked up that it's gotten to this point that, like, we need to actually reform the police.
Yeah, well, and I watched
But I mean, dude, it needs to be done.
I was watching I think I've mentioned him before on the podcast, a guy named, I think he goes by Tyler Bluntman. He's a friend of mine from back from way back when I was working at Seasons. He used to work at the Anytime Fitness next door, and he would always come in on his lunch break. He's about our age, and he runs this show. I think it's still called Terrible Conservative. He's like a libertarian, he's a black guy. He's a real good friend of mine. I think he goes by Tyler Bluntman now. He's been like Joe Nobody, and maybe it's still Terrible Conservative, or maybe it's like 40-minute debates now. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he's like a very like libertarian guy. And he had this video that I shared in my personal Instagram story that like really kind of like changed the way I was looking at it, because he took this kind of like libertarian approach to the idea of should we have government police, where instead of having a publicly funded, like a government run institution, if communities were able to basically contract their police forces and run them on like the exact specific example that he used was like, if you were able to have a community that could hire a private police force or hire people within their community to police it and contract them that way, and then like after 4 years you're able to look and be like, hey, are you policing our community the way that we think you should be? How's your relationship with the community? This, that, the other thing. And then you're actually able to hold your police force accountable. And when I saw that, I was like, that's a very interesting take. It's also a very, interestingly enough, a very right-wing libertarian solution to that problem. You know, because this is a guy, it's like, it's weird because I remember like back in the day when I was like first, and there's a lot of libertarian positions that I like sympathize with, but there's also a lot of the libertarian positions that like they get into like the bare basics of like public life, where they're like, we should have privately funded roads and privately funded this and privately funded that. It's like, all right, can we privately funded military? It's like, all right, is that really possible? Can you do that? You know? But like, even like the police force, for instance, I remember looking at that back in the day. I was like, okay, the police force is probably something that should be government run. You know what I mean? But then you start looking at it now and you're like, but the government run police force isn't serving the community. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's weird. It's weird how, and this is why I have such an issue with the polarization of the left, right, the conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican split that we have, is because on any given issue, we are able to talk sensibly through to a reasonable solution. It is only when you start to label certain ideologies as associated with this political affiliation or that political affiliation that it starts to distort the conversation. Because all of a sudden, you're talking about something that is very, like, you're talking about eliminating an institution that is government controlled and bringing it back to privately funded communities to make their own decisions. And it's being talked about in various left-wing circles. And that to me is a good thing, because
but also it is like a leftist type of, you know, plan too.
In which way? I mean, it's a leftist plan in that like you see the whole defund the police thing being brought up in leftist circles. And the problem is, and I fell victim to this myself, admittedly, is because it was those circles that were bringing it up, I automatically assumed that they were thinking this, that, the other thing. But then when I took a look at it from my sensibilities and was like, oh, I see what they're talking about. But also it's like basically what I'm getting at is it's an idea that if you can look at any individual like issue that we're dealing with and bypass the whole, you're right wing, you think like this, you're left wing, you think like this, and we can just observe, look, you have an institution in Baltimore City that is simply not able to do their job. And that's why there was a big debate, I think probably around this time last year, where Johns Hopkins wanted to get their own private police force, and people shot it down because it got taken into a political universe where all of a sudden, if you were
that's the weird thing with that though is Johns Hopkins, if they had the police force, it would be in their interest and not the community's.
You could certainly say that, and I would agree with you to a point, but I would also say that right now the public police force isn't in the interest of the communities either.
Yeah, and that's why on both sides of political parties, everyone seems to kind of think that like this, we need to do something about this.
Yeah, and it's weird because like I think about this debate translated into other issues. This idea of you have a government-run institution that is not serving the interests of the people that it serves. We have that problem in our city with the education system as well. Our education system does not serve the people of Baltimore City. It does not. For some reason, we take the opposite approach. We all acknowledge that this system is completely corrupt, that you pump millions and millions and millions of dollars into this system, but yet you're still never able to see, still to this day, water running in public schools, people able to, our literacy rate, all these things that are happening because our institutions are failing. We look at the police and we say, this is a failing institution. It is not serving the interests of our community. Let's time
buy
for
them some tanks and tactical gear. To use on civilians.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, it's like you look at that and you're like, okay, so if I were to take the people who look at that problem with education in our city and say that we all acknowledge that this bureaucracy of people that are in charge of our education in Baltimore City, we have millions and millions of dollars that go to the city that they audit them and they can't account for like, what was it, like $80 million in the past like 3 years. They were just like, oh, we don't know what happened to it, dude. And you're like, blah, blah, blah.
We spent it all on books, I think.
I think. And so that's always been a thing for me because it's like my ultimate goal, what I would like to see is public schools where you can actually send your kid to that school and feel as if he's getting a quality education in a quality environment. We were lucky enough to have that in Towson High School. If you live in Baltimore City, and you have the money to not send your kids to public school, you're not sending your kids to public school. If you live in Roland Park, you're sending your kid to Gilman, Bryn Mawr, fucking, Loyola, Calvert Hall, Boys Latin, one of those schools. Any kid that's affluent in Baltimore City would not step foot in a public school there, and that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem because our institutions in that city are failing, and for whatever reason, you keep on running across this conundrum, which is, well, if you disagree that we should increase spending and increase funding and this, that, the other thing, then you must not care about the education system. To me, that's the same thing as saying if you disagree that the police are not doing their jobs correctly, that they are corrupt and not serving the community, then you should be saying that we need to fund the police more. And of course, nobody would ever say that. Nobody is saying that. Everyone is saying, no, dude, the problem is that this institution itself is shitty and there's no amount of money you are ever going to pump into it that's going to make it work. All it's going to do is fund the people that are using it for their own gain. And that's what I see happening in the educational institution. And again, I just wish that we could bypass all the other political divisions that are occurring here all the other things and just get to the crux of the matter.
Yeah. I mean, we're essentially just living in the Stanford prison experiment.
Mm-hmm. And I see politicians that, and I believe this is another thing, again, that is done on both sides. I see you have this incident that happened with George Floyd, and everything falls into place in terms of it's a white cop, it's a black victim. And it happens at this time in our country that is like unprecedented. You have the lockdown going on and everybody's already on the edge of their seat for that. And this happens and it strikes a chord with the racial tension that exists in our community. And you have what I believe an anger that, how can I describe this? It's a justifiable anger. It is a justifiable anger that I think is being misdirected in a way. In that you have communities such as, if you go to a poor white community in like West Virginia or something like that, where those people are living in desolate conditions, their jobs have all gone away, they're all addicted to fucking opioids and shit like that. But they're voting Republican over and over and over again because they are told that even though they're living in these desolate conditions, that the real problem is Mexicans coming over the border and Muslims.
Democrats.
Yeah, Democrats and Muslims doing this and this, that, the other thing. And so you have these political parties in those areas that are uncontested. They are uncontested because they have told you that as desolate as your conditions are, they're not the problem. Just keep voting for us. We're not the problem. It's those people. And so anytime you see an issue in your daily life, anything that happens to you in your daily life, it's not our fault. It's their fault. And I see the same thing happening in these inner city communities, which is you have undeniably that these cities are disproportionately minority and disproportionately they're living in these communities where they have an expanded presence of police, and they're being told, in my opinion, you're being told by their all Democrat Congress. I mean, all the city council in Baltimore is Democrat. The mayor, everyone in there is supposedly on your side. And that city has been, I'm speaking specifically to our city because it's the closest to home. I'm sure this goes on in every other city across the country.
Yeah.
You have these people that are in power. Like I said, the same thing that goes on in rural areas with the Republicans, and they tell them this, that, the other, this is the enemy, that's the enemy. You have these people that have allowed this city and its institutions, its police force, its education system, everything about it to deteriorate. Our city is dropping 10,000 in population every fucking year. We're barely in the top 30 major cities anymore because everyone's fucking leaving Baltimore because it's been allowed to deteriorate to that point. You have Flint, Michigan, who is an all Democrat area and things like that, and they haven't had clean drinking water for 6 years, and the blame is always someone else. It's always someone, we're not getting enough of this, we're not getting enough of that. It's all about deflection. When you live in an area where the government does not have, there is no incentive for the government in a city like Baltimore to ever serve its people. There's no incentive because there's no one on the other side that can say, hey, if you fucking run this shit into the ground for 30 years, you're going to get voted out. They're never going to get voted out. Ever. Ever. And so instead of accepting responsibility, I see the mayor of LA or something like that, or the mayor of Minneapolis on TV going on there and saying, being black should never be a death sentence in this country, this, that, the other thing. And I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, dude, you're the fucking mayor of this city. You're the one in charge. You're the one in charge of the police force. Mayor Garcetti in LA, the guy kneeling down in front of the president, you're the mayor. But they take this stance where if they kneel down in symbolic, sympathy for this external enemy, that they get to deflect the fact that it's your fault. What no mayor in any of these cities where this shit happens, what no mayor has ever done that I've seen is get on the fucking stage and say, dude, This is my fault. Me and my people that work in our offices that have been running this city for 45 fucking years have allowed this shit to happen. This is my fault. Because then they'd have to accept their own fucking responsibility for what they did. Instead, they want to kneel down in symbolic, solidarity with some external enemy. And that external enemy has divided us as a country, making people believe in this area that their enemy is, white racism and things like that, and making the white people in those areas believe that the enemy is these people and that people, when in reality, if we could all just sit down and have a real fucking conversation about what makes the most sense for here and now, we could reach a solution. And that's what bugs me. They're the fucking problem. Yeah. And they're dividing us.
I think the tide is turning a little bit, though. I saw a video, I think it might have even been in Minneapolis at like a protest where it was like a video of the mayor showing up to the protest, and he was in the crowd and he was like trying to speak on the mic, and the person who was like emceeing it was like asking him questions like, so like, what are your actions on solving this problem, defunding the police force, whatever, like, can we have you commit to defunding the police force? And he was like, I can't do that. And then the MC was like, oh, so I just want to let the crowd know he's up for re-election next year, and it kind of seems like he's just here for PR. So I want you all to remember that during the polls next year.
That is where, and this is what I truly believe.
And then everyone starts, get the fuck out of here. He just walks away.
That is a good thing. That is a good thing, because now you're holding our political class accountable for what they've done, for what they're doing. And the reason why I've never gotten behind the whole idea of like a revolution or anything like that is that at its fundamentals, I think the concept of America is a beautiful concept. I think the idea of individual freedom and the right to liberty and pursuit of happiness is a beautiful thing. Now, you could say that, yes, at the time when that Constitution was drafted, those rights and those freedoms were only granted to white, wealthy, landowning men. That's true. It's true. But over the course of time, the history of America has been about taking the beautiful concept that we had as a country, that we built this country upon because we rose out of tyranny. We rose out of people suppressing our rights. It has been about taking those same principles and extending them to as many people as possible. So in the 20s, all of a sudden now, it doesn't just apply to wealthy, white-owning men. It applies to women as well. And then in the 60s, you extend it even further, so that now it includes black people and other, minorities and things like that, who fought for years in World War II, for instance, for freedoms that they didn't have, But they fought because they believed in the idea of America. I believe in the idea of America. So I don't agree with this whole concept that we need to overthrow our systems. We need to overthrow this, that, the other thing. What I believe is that we need to take these people who are a literal virus within our system to understand that Democrats and Republicans are not the government. They are people who want a seat in the government. They don't run you. We don't serve the government. They serve us. And the second you don't serve us, you're the fuck out of here. I don't care what letter is next to your name. And so if it turns out that in a city like Minneapolis or in a city like Baltimore, that the government in place is not doing their job, you're the fuck out of there, bro. We'll get our own communities. We'll do our own fucking thing. We'll start, and this is another thing that, going back to the education thing, the idea of why I never was against the idea of charter schools is because it took the same concept. It took the same concept. It said, dude, I don't want to send my kid to Mervo because that school fucking sucks. Unfortunately, it sucks. I don't want to send my kid there, but I have to because you determine where my kid goes to school. I want to determine where my kid goes to school. If you're not giving my child an education, I want the choice to be able to say, well, I'm not fucking sending him there. I'd rather send him over here. Now, that's a whole different debate, and that's a whole different can of worms, but I'm just saying it kind of, to me, follows that same line of thinking, that people need to take their power back, and it doesn't happen by necessarily a revolution of sorts. It happens by people understanding that we're the ones in control. And the only reason that they remain in control is because we keep allowing them to be. And it doesn't have to be this violent insurrection or anything like it. It just has to be with an understanding that, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. So start holding people accountable.
Know who I think the next person who's going to get held accountable is?
Who?
J.K. Rowling, dude. You hear about her?
Oh, dude.
She apparently went like full, like turf.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it at first, and I saw some tweet, because that's how everybody figures out their news these days.
Yeah.
And it was something like nobody dot the classic meme.
Yeah.
It was like
that's like the new classic.
Yeah, that is the new classic. So it's like nobody dot or colon, whatever you want to call it, and then J.K. Rowling. I've noticed nobody's been talking about me recently, and I was like, kind of funny. And I didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. I just thought it was funny, so I liked it, or I might have retweeted it. I don't fucking know. I thought it was funny, and then like a full day later, I decided to actually look into it and see what people were actually talking about, which again goes back to exactly what we were talking about, where people just see a hashtag or see something that like whatever, and then they just go along with it, and then it takes them like a day or two or a week to actually fucking look into it. Meanwhile, they've been presenting themselves in alignment with this thing for the full time. But yeah, what did she have, like 3 or 4 tweets that were something along the lines of like, just something along the lines of like, if
like I remember, or like something like someone who menstruates. There used to be a word for that, and then she kept spelling woman wrong.
Oh yeah, I did see that one. I'm
just
pulling it up right now.
Some weird shit, yeah. But luckily Daniel Radcliffe came out, and he supports the transgender community.
Let me see. I want to actually read these tweets real quick just to make sure we're getting it right, because I know the one you're talking about, but I feel like there was like 3 of them that were like prolific. Let me see.
To say I can pull it up too. So one of them is, people who menstruate, in quotations. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wimpund, Womud, opinion, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate.
Well, I guess what's her whole point there is she's basically saying,
I mean,
okay,
she basically like, people just break it down to her being a TERF, which is like a trans reactionary, whatever, feminist,
trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just think she kind of falls into that. Here's another one. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. I thought I was reading that wrong, but it's just she's a bad writer. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth.
Well, I got to be honest with you, man. That one, I kind of see what she's saying there. If I'm being real.
One. I'm just going to read the next one. Yeah. I've spent much of the last 3 years reading books, blogs, and scientific papers by trans people, medics, and gender specialists. I know exactly what the distinction is. Never assume that because someone thinks differently, they have no knowledge. Number 4.
Number 4. 4.
These are all like in quotations. Feminazi? TERF?
Oh, I'm reading this one too.
Witch? Times change. Women hate is immortal or eternal.
The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. I found that one particularly interesting because a nonsense, like you're a fucking writer, and I don't think that's like how you say that. However, I will say, I'm totally in support of you doing whatever you want to do. Trans movement, you do what the fuck you want to do. I mean this. I could not care less. And I mean that in the best way possible. But there have been like some things where I think what she's trying to get at, from the way I can read it, is that people have made a distinction between sex and gender, which I think is a fair distinction. And the whole premise behind that is that sex is your biological, what you are, a male or a female, and then gender is your social role or whatever. So which I always thought was kind of weird in the first place because they also say there's no inherently feminine traits or no inherently masculine traits. So then I'm like, well, then how can you identify as a male if there's no inherently? But it's like, okay, whatever, that's fine. Like I said, the classic, I have black friends, I have trans friends, and I call them he or she or whatever the fuck they want to be called because I'm not a dick, and that's that simple. I'm just not a dick about that shit. However, there have been certain things that have popped up. For instance, the idea that if you're not willing to date a trans person, that you're transphobic. That for me, the distinction of sex.
I mean, that'd be like saying if you don't date a fat person, you're fat phobic.
Precisely. But also, what's the key word when you say heterosexual or homosexual? Would be sex. Sex. I am attracted to someone of a different sex than me because I'm a straight male. I am heterosexual. I am attracted to someone of the different sex. So it's not necessarily that I am attracted. I'm not sexually attracted to your identity. I'm sexually attracted. So if you want to change the distinction between sex and gender and say that gender is a totally different thing than sex, then you also, in my opinion, would have to acknowledge that being heterosexual, meaning I'm attracted to an opposite sex, or I'm homosexual, I'm attracted to the same sex, we're focusing on the word sex there. So for me personally, just being honest, I couldn't see myself, I'm just being real, I couldn't see myself dating a trans person, not because I'm transphobic, but just because that's just not what I'm attracted to. And it sounds weird saying it. It sounds weird saying it, but I'm trying to keep it 100 right now, just being real. I'm just being real for myself personally, just like you said, if you know, it's not like this is what I'm attracted to. If I'm talking about marrying the person I want to be with for the rest of my life, I'm not saying that if I were to run across this, that, or the other person that I hit it off with, I'm just speaking from my own personal point of view. That's how I feel. And again, I think it comes down to those kind of, those political labels that we put on people. For instance, the minute she speaks out and says something that is against the grain, she's instantly labeled as a TERF or a feminazi or whatever the fuck she was saying in that thing. And it's like, well, I think there is a conversation to be had here that doesn't necessarily have to end with you calling J.K. Rowling a TERF. I think there's a real conversation here. And if that's her perspective, look, you can agree with it or disagree with it. I don't think she's a hateful person. And I don't think when people go out there and making all those memes like, oh, it turns out Harry Potter was written by no one, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, come on. Like, come on. She's a person with an opinion and she's speaking her truth. And that's what she believes. And she's not doing it in what I would consider to be a hateful way. And, you know, if you disagree with it, then have the discussion. Just have the discussion. If you think she's wrong, just fucking have that conversation. Doesn't mean that just because someone disagrees with you that they are a bad person. And that's what I feel like is what we fall into. And that mentality, that idea that anyone who disagrees with you must be a bad person on either side of the aisle. If I'm a conservative and you disagree with me, it's probably because you're a dumb, ignorant piece of shit. And if I'm a liberal and this conservative guy disagrees with me, it's probably because he's a racist, bigoted piece of shit. It's like, dude, once we bypass all that bullshit, then we can get to what we were talking about earlier, which is saying, look, this is what I think, this is what you think. I think we're all in agreement here that none of us are bad, terrible people for believing those things. So let's just try to get to the best solution. If I want to believe this and it's not harming you, cool. And if you want to believe that and it's not harming me, also cool. Also cool. So I'm just going to take a stance a little bit and just say, guys, come on. Just talk it out. It's Twitter. That's what it's for. That's what it's for. Talk it out. Talk it out. Have the conversation. I've never read Harry Potter, so this does not affect me. This does not affect me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of don't care either. Because, I mean, it's not even like she's not like someone I look to like get news or I want to hear her opinion on things. Like, she kind of got lucky and made a really good serialized like novel or whatever, which got, you know, had really good movies. I like the movies. I like the story, but like, I don't know. I don't have to like her. And also, I've never had an opinion on her.
I've never had an opinion on J.K. Rowling until somebody told me to have an opinion on J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to have an opinion on J.K. Rowling because you're fucking telling me to. And I'm certainly not going to have the opinion that you want me to have on J.K. Rowling because you're fucking telling me to. I'm going to go grab another Bud Light Lime.
All right.
Bud Light Lime.
All right, I'll go get a freshen up too. I had to get another drink too.
I wish I was making more waiting music while you were there, but I only managed to get like 2 or 3 bars out. But it was.
I also got a single wing.
Singular wing. I just want to say, anybody listening right now, I fucking love this podcast. I love anybody who actually listens, and I feel so fucking like. I always, I like just thinking about everything going on right now, and just to be able to like just talk about it is like, it's fucking, it's so nice. It's so nice.
It's very nice.
It's almost more therapeutic in a personal sense than it, like if anybody cares to listen, that's awesome. But it's fucking sweet. Not necessarily the product. We can debate that. But
yeah, and if you're still tuning in live, thanks for listening.
For me personally, and I'm sure for Eric, it's fucking great. It's
a good time.
Just quick little callback to last week's conversation. I left you off with a story about a girl that I got in a tiff with off Tinder, and it was about the whole go back and listen to last week's episode if you're curious. But just she
was the girl that was moving too quick.
She was moving too quick, and she was making me feel like the dickhead about it, and just telling me I wasn't texting her enough, and don't talk to her again. But then, I apologized, and she's trying to talk to me again. This, that, the other thing. Ultimately, wound up getting in a fucking argument about a SpongeBob song, which should just tell you everything you need to know. And when we left off at that podcast last week, she had basically
listened
said you do you, homie. And then I was just like, ooh, okay, now I feel like a piece of shit for even trying to have this friendly little fun little debate, which is the only way I know how to interact with people, unfortunately, or very fortunately. You be the judge of that. But so she just started ignoring me, and then I went through the whole podcast. I told the whole story the next night, and then right after we ended the podcast, Eric was still on the Zoom. We were having a little post-podcast review, and she texted me. And
damn, did you tell me that or no?
I think I told you this. We might have both been a couple Kentucky Capris in at that point.
For sure, for sure.
And missed it. But I know I for sure was. But but she had texted me and just started up a whole new conversation 27 hours later after completely ignoring my response to after she was calling me a bitch, and said have you watched the show Hollywood on Netflix? And so I replied, I believe the next day, and I said, I think I replied at 4 a.m, which is a classic me move. Because I was debating even replying. I was like, all right, I could just leave it where it's at or fucking engage this. But if I'm engaging it, I'm not going to engage it. I'm just going to, respond. So I said, after she said, have you seen the show Hollywood on Netflix? And I just replied, I said, I take it you're over our SpongeBob fallout. And then she replied the next morning. And was like, okay, well, anyway, it's blah, 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 blah. And then a couple of texts exchanged back and forth. And this, that, the other thing. And I was being a bitch. I was being a little bit of a brat in this. And she said, yeah, there's a lot of this, that, the other thing in it. There's this, that, the other thing. No, she said there's a lot of gay sex in it. And I was just driving. And I just picked up my phone and I said, sounds gay. And I just threw my phone back on the couch. And then, or the chair. I have a couch in my car, for anybody wondering. I have a full couch. I guess you could consider the back seat of a car a couch.
Yeah, it's pretty much a couch.
Pretty much close. But so I just said, she said there's a whole lot of gay sex in it. And I was like, sounds gay. And then she replied and said, well, anyway, I'm off of work tomorrow and Friday. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, IDC.
Phase 1.
I do not care. And so I didn't reply. And then a whole day goes by, and the next morning, she texted me again and was like, okay, well, don't say I never tried to hang out. And I just didn't reply again.
Ooh.
And you know what I call that, boys? I call that sweet, sweet, sweet victory. Yeah.
I think that's the episode, folks. I don't know how else to end it.
Oh, man.
At Jimmy Selesky on everything. At Eric Glazer on everything. At LFTS Podcast on everything, folks.
Till next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.